Welcome back to 7th House Astrology. Heather here again, and I am here to talk about the messy, beautiful, and sometimes exhausting world of relationships that we, yes, all can relate to, right? Well, today I plan on doing something a tad different. I am going to help all the novice astrologers out there, or the people who are not astrologers and just are interested in learning a little bit more of their birth chart, is how to find your birth chart. That's important because if you're going along with this podcast and I say if your sun is in the 7th house and it's squaring, someone's sun in the 10th house, then you're going to kind of be able to look at your chart and see, oh, what do I have in the 7th house? It doesn't even need to be the sun. We can just be talking about everything. So it's kind of important to understand. And by the way, love and relationships isn't just in the 7th house. There are other houses that involve that, like the 5th house. But we're just going to talk about how to get your birth chart if you do not have it already. If you have it already, skip this podcast. You're not going to need it. Okay, I think what we should do is start with the easier one, which is AstroSeek. You're going to log on to astroseek.com. And, me personally, I think it's a little easier if you create an account, because then you can actually create a database. And then if you ever want to go in and you just hit your birth data and it'll just pop it right back up. And then if you create a database, you'll be able to go right into your database. So it's pretty cool. Once you're in AstroSeek, and that is astroseek.com, and I am going to, for the two websites that I use today, I will add these into the show notes. So it'll be easy for you to find it. When you get into AstroSeek, you're going to go to the far left where it says free horoscopes. The first option is Birth Natal Chart Online Calculator. Wow, I would have probably worded that a little differently, but that's okay. It's hard for me to say. Once you click on that, you will be able to go and enter your birth data. Now, let me break something down that is something that some people don't understand. When we use the word horoscope, we're not talking about your sun sign, and I know that can get confusing for people who are new to astrology because that's all you've ever known is your horoscope is your sun sign. That is actually incorrect. Your horoscope is your ascendant. It's your rising sign because that is the moment you took your first breath. And that is how we are able to find what houses all of your planets are in and where the energy is going to be most important for you in this lifetime. So I apologize for all of you who probably thought that your horoscope meant your sun sign. It does not. Once you know your rising sign, you will always read your horoscope for a rising sign. So I'll give you an example. I'm a Cancer sun. I'm a Libra rising. But I read for Libra. I don't read my horoscope for Cancer. When I talk about signs and placements and areas, and I say let's say I'm going to give an example for transits for, I'll just stick with Libra. And I say Libras, what I'm talking about is Libra risings. I'm not going to be Libra suns can go in there, but really I'm going to be talking about Libra risings because I'm going to talk about where the energy is in the house for those people. We'll get into that later. Okay, houses. I know they can get confusing. Once you do that, you hit calculate your chart. And voila, there will be your horoscope. There will be your chart. And for some of you, it might not make any sense. That's okay. It's what we're here for. Once you have that, if you want to know the person that you want to do a synastry chart with, which let's break that down. Synastry is basically overlaying the two charts together. You'll have your chart and then whoever it is that the person that you want to compare your chart with, it'll be an overlay. Now, I'm going to give some information here that can be quite handy. Let's say you know the person's birth time that you want to calculate that chart. That's great. What it's going to do is it's going to give it the information that you need, and whoever birth chart is in the middle, it's going to show the outer chart and how they influence that person. Then you can swap it and you can put the outside chart in the middle and the other way around, and then you will see how you affect that person. Sorry, I know that probably confused people, but we'll get there. And then you can see, like, let's just say, I'm going to give just an example. Oh, I like this example. And it's Lilith, but I don't usually use Lilith too much, but this is a really good example. If someone has their sun and the other person's Lilith is conjunct that sun within at least a 2-degree orb. So let's say your sun's at 20 degrees and their Lilith is at 20 degrees of Cancer. Both of your degree points are at 20 degrees of Cancer. Let me tell you that is going to be very, very highly charged connection. Yeah, especially if it's in the 5th house. That could be like obsessive love, almost insatiable sexual desire for the other person. That could definitely be that. What you'll look for is connections. And degrees and orbs are big, and we will get over in a later episode. Okay, that is how you find your chart and your synastry chart of your partner in AstroSeek. Once you enter your partner's information, bam, you're good. The other fun thing about AstroSeek is you can also do your solar returns, you can do solar arcs, you can do perfection years, you can do all kinds of stuff. It's really fun. That's the easiest of the charts, okay, to find. The other one is called astro.com. Astrodienst is the actual name on it, but you just will type in astro.com. This one can be a little bit more difficult and complicated, but once you get in, again, this one would go ahead and just create an account. That way it has your information in there whenever you need. Okay, you're going to go to the left-hand side, and see where it says horoscopes. You're going to click on horoscopes, and then you're going to scroll down until you find extended chart selection. You're going to click on that. Once you get into that, you can input all of your information. Okay, so it's going to say chart type. You're going to choose natal type. Web default style is probably the pretty easiest. And then you're going to enter your date. And then below that, it's going to say zodiac and houses. And it's going to say house system default. The default is going to be Placidus, I think. Now, if you're going to follow me, and the way especially when I start reading charts, I use equal house system. So I do not use Placidus, and I'm not a traditional astrologer, so I don't use whole house. But I am more of an evolutionary astrologer, so I use equal house system. For me, it's just what works. It's the most spot on for me. And then other than that, you can hit display calculations and options, and you can put whatever you want. If you want to put Chiron in there, if you want to put aspects to the lunar nodes and eclipses, you can put that in there. You can put pretty much everything you want. If it doesn't make any sense, it's okay. You don't have to put anything at all. You'll be done. And then you just hit show chart. And then there it is. Once you have your chart and you say, well, now I want to go and I want to see what it is, my partner's chart or the person I want to do a chart with. So after you have your chart and it's up, there's going to be a green button. It's going to have a little arrow pointing to the left and it's going to say chart selection. You're going to hit that chart selection again. It's going to take you right back to the extended chart selection page. Once you're in that page where it says chart type, where it says natal chart wheel, which is always going to be the default, you're going to click the little arrow and then voila, synastry chart. And then you'll be able to click on synastry chart and then you're going to add the person that you want to check out the chart. Both of them are great. However, I do think AstroSeek can be a little bit better because it does give you like a little report. And I think all of us, especially if you don't know astrology, but you kind of want to get an idea of what, the other person's going to be or what the energy will be like, you can click on that and it will give you the information that you need. So I think it's pretty cool. Once you do that, you can click. You'll get your chart and it's going to give you all the compatibility. It'll tell you everything. It'll tell you all the aspects. It'll tell you everything, and then you just keep scrolling all the way down. It'll tell you what area is it squaring, is it trining, is it going to be a harder aspect, and it gives you just a quick little synopsis of what that relationship can be. Can get kind of confusing because in certain areas you can have it where it's hard, like let's say an opposition, right? But the difference with that is, let's say you have an ascendant Libra, a Libra ascendant, and the other person's Venus is in Aries right across from you. This can be a strong indicator of marriage because the ruler of Libra is Venus. Yeah, it's in Aries, but that Venus person's going to embody the qualities of what you want in that partner, especially because you're a Libra rising. That's going to be a really good aspect, even though it's an opposition, which causes tension. Just be careful with that. You got to kind of know a little bit more of astrology to kind of understand that. But yeah, that's pretty much basically it for today. I just really wanted to make sure that we went over all of the how-tos before I really start getting into planetary pairs and houses and aspects and all that. I think what my next podcast is going to be about is aspects. And then the next one we'll get into, real quick, the aspects. The aspects are the relationship between the planets. We kind of have to know what the relationship of the planets before we can start interpreting how you are going to relate with X and how you are going to relate with Y and how you are going to, and how Y is going to relate to you. I hope that makes a lot of sense. For this purpose, before we move on, learn how to grab your birth chart, and then it'll be a lot easier for you to follow the show that way. All right, I'm getting excited. The next podcast will talk about aspects, and I'm not going to go into this huge deal about aspects. I'm just going to kind of explain what those red and blue lines are saying, and for you to be able to understand AstroSeek, and it says, oh, you're in a sextile. Well, what the hell is a sextile? We'll kind of go over those, but pretty simple. I'm not even going to really go over the math on that. I'm just going to say square can be tension. Squares are going to be red. Oppositions can bring in, obviously, it's pretty easy. Oppositions. It's going to be tension. And trines are going to be easy, but we'll go through that. We'll get all through that. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of your week, and I will catch you next time. Bye.